Alright, this is a little bit loud, but I think you might be able to hear me. So one of the first vehicles I ever bought as a teenager was 21 years ago, and it was a Mustang. It was actually this Mustang here. This is a 1994 Mustang GT. Originally came with a 5-liter, 5-speed. It was a fun car. It was a blast to drive. Now here I am driving it home to work on it for my brother and my family. So it's after I got it, I ended up selling it to my brother and my family. They've had it ever since. So the car that I bought 20 years ago, I still have. Now it's definitely been significantly modified than when I had it. When I bought it, it was originally black. It had some stock 17-inch rims, which I thought looked really nice on the car. It's nowhere looking stock anymore, and it's nowhere sounding stock anymore, as you might be able to tell. Whoa. There you can see some of the bucking, which is one of the things I'm going to be working on this car. You know, this car does need some work, and that's what I'm going to be doing to it. So this car, very loud. I don't know if you can hear it, but there is a blower on it. It is a 5.8 liter with a D1 Procharger. Now, it's still not as loud as my 69 Mustang, but I will say the blower and that high-pitched noise, really loud. It does have straight cut gears on it. It is the D1, not the D1 SC. You know, when I did buy this car originally, everything was stock on it. You know, I can still see some of the modifications that I did to it. It still has the trim around the door painted gray, the trim around the shifter painted gray. We're gonna have to do some modifications of this car to get it running better. And then, you know, if you guys want, I haven't been drag racing in a while, so maybe we end up taking it to the drag strip. But so this, I ended up pulling the engine a bunch of times. I ended up going, I think, first time I had it this strip, a 14.9 when it was completely stock. I ended up getting trick flow heads, trick flow cam, their stage 1 kit, the intake. I think the intake's still on the car. After I got all those, I ended up going 13.2, and that was my best time running. That was my best time running Nitto drag radials. It's just really cool to be able to work on a car that you got 21 years ago, that, you know, you haven't driven in forever. It still drives like I remember. It still drives like a 94 Mustang. It does feel a little bit tighter, so there's probably some suspension work done to it. I'm not 100% sure all the work that was done to it. I can ask my family and they'll be able to tell me, but it does drive pretty nice, and I do miss driving this car. The gauges that I originally bought still on it, so I have the water temperature, the oil pressure over here. There's a boost gauge on the dash down here. One thing to note is anytime I get into any boost, it just blows the rear tires away. The shift light is definitely set at like 3,000 RPM. So every time I hit 3,000 RPM, I get a blue blinding light in my face. So a lot of little changes need to happen. Wideband's showing I'm at 11.2, which is good. There comes the bucking issue. When I had the car, I put 373 gears in the rear, which was fine for an NA car or something that's naturally aspirated. Now that it's supercharged, I don't know if they've changed the rear gears out. I don't think they have, but that's something that I'm gonna have to check or ask them. Yeah, so the car says I'm going 50 miles per hour, but my phone says I'm going 35. So gears and speedometer gear is definitely way off. But I think it's cool, just I'm able to drive the car that I purchased 21 years ago. I know the ABS system is not working in this car. It says my parking brake is on, the light is on, but my parking brake is definitely off. You know, a lot of little things that need to be fixed. Also, probably could use some fuel. Okay, so here's the car that we're going to be working on. It's a 1994 Mustang GT. It is painted in Sonic Blue, and the car has a 5.8 liter supercharged V8. So the engine, it does have a supercharger on it. I believe it's the D1, not the D1 SC, as we talked about on the ride here. We'll go through the car, we'll look at kind of what are the specs of it, what's the condition of it. So let's go ahead, walk around the car and take a look at it before we start working on it. So it does have the Cobra R hood. I actually did purchase this when I had the car. It is, I think it's Cervini's. The funny thing is, after owning this car for so long, I still remember where pretty much everything is. All right, so looking at the engine, I think this is the original trick flow manifold that I had on it when I owned it. It does show a lot of cracking. I wonder if it was painted at some point. It has a different engine. So the engine that I had in it was the 5-liter stock engine. I believe this is the 5.8. So they did go to a larger 351W. It does have a D1 Procharger with a pretty thick belt. Looks like a 10-rib belt. And everything pretty much looks as I remember. There's some things that have been moved around. I mean, it has an electronic fan up here, which is definitely different. Has a giant intercooler in the front for cooling the intake air. Still running the stock distributor, stock ignition setup, maybe an aftermarket coil somewhere. Yep, running a MSD coil down here. It's running shorty headers. I believe when I had them, it was running Mac shorty headers. It's probably the same ones on there now. And man, with this blower here and the 351, definitely a lot less room in this engine bay to work on it. So it has some sort of aftermarket lowering springs on it, or lowering setup, because you can see it looks like caster camber plates up here. I don't know what it is, I'll have to ask. Alternator, power steering's down there, no air conditioner, aftermarket fuel rails, and it looks pretty well put together. Looks like you got the battery terminal up here. Have to clean that up. So on the front, I believe it's running 99 Cobra front brakes. So that caliper, the rotors, definitely larger than the originals. The American Muscle rims, which are definitely on the older side. So for the fuel system, I believe there's 2 aeromotive pumps under there that are giving fuel to the engine. Got my shut-off switch here for the battery to be race legal. And then in the interior, we have all the gauge set up. So we have water temperature, oil pressure there. We have an Innovate boost gauge there on the dash. Shift lights that's going off way too early. An air to fuel gauge down there in the center. No stereo or anything installed, and no, the vent has fallen out. But everything on the inside side is pretty clean. It does have aftermarket seats on them. Do still have the originals, I believe. And it's pretty much ready to go. Just a lot of work to do. Still have the original steering wheel, original airbag set up. That means the airbag's still in there as well. Paint looks pretty good. And I think it's an aftermarket saline wing on it. And for the tires, I thought they were Nittos, but they're actually Toyo Proxys. Does not have the side skirts on it, as you can see down there. Those are not on the car, but they are painted and available. Now, I do remember cutting away this myself to make some room to get this homemade, actually one I did have, it was a homemade air filter that was in the fender, but I did hack away a lot of this to do it, so that's gonna be cut and bent over. So I guess other than this intake up here, there's not much left from what I've done to it. It does still have the trick flow heads on it, so I do know that. I remember I bought the twisted wedge heads, so those are the ones that are running. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna kick off one of the first projects, and we're gonna get it running right. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do with this tuning system to be able to make it work. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you wanna follow along with the build of this car. We got some projects to do on it, and if you guys want, we'll take it drag racing to see how it does. I'm curious to see how high it traps and if I can even hook up with these tires. Thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time.